Thanks for tuning in to Healthy Planet One, where we discuss healthy living from experts in each of their fields. This is your host, Patricia Starr.
And your co-host, Kimberly Knock.
Today's guest on Healthy Planet One is Jackie RIKER, and we're going to be talking about waking and walking with light. Hello and welcome, Jackie. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Great. And just for our listeners, I want to introduce you. You are a craniosacral therapist and an ordained minister in Sarasota. You and I have known each other for a long time, and I know you do incredible work in the healing modalities, and it's been a while that you've been doing this, since 1988. I also have known you to be a very powerful speaker and minister that has really worked with doing meditations and ministering in the New Thought community for over 30 years. So let's get started and share your vision about the world awaken. So welcome.
Thank you. Well, my vision of the world awakened is that people evolve their consciousness to the point of knowing their true essence, and that means their soul quality. We are here, our souls incarnate into these physical bodies, and we all have ego and soul, and they exist together in this life. And it is our evolutionary destiny to realize, to make real the living soul that is living in our body, which is our light being. We are essentially beings of light. We don't have to bring the light into us. The light is what we are. But who of us was taught that when we were growing up? And I don't think so.
I think it was missing. Yes, I agree.
I think it was missing, yes. We're taught a lot of things about who and what we are. Some of it like, you're born in sin, and you're all those things that keep us small, keep us thinking really small, and keep us not understanding the power that we have as souls living in these physical bodies. So that is my vision, is a world of awakened beings that live in reverence for all life. Because once we know the truth that we are light beings, that we are divine beings, and that every form of life is that, how could we possibly harm another being? And so that is my vision, that people can awaken to their light and walk in their light and anchor and ground that light into their bodies and thereby into this earth plane right now. Do we need that?
You think?
Yeah. You think? Well, I think
especially, so. Especially, we're in a world right now with a lot of different, when we look in the worldly scene, there's a lot of confusion and polarization and stuff like that. So what is your approach in addressing that and helping people to come into this place that you're talking about?
Well, my approach is that to realize that what we perceive as polarity are the opposite ends of one thing. It's like the yin and the yang, that symbol, that round circle that has half of it light and half of it dark. And within the middle of the white part, there's a black dot. And within the middle of the black part, there's a white dot. It's all one thing, but it has qualities of light and dark that it has to have in order to exist. That balance, that harmony of the yin and the yang together are what allow us to exist in this plane. And so to have the approach that rather than either or, light or dark, up or down, hot or cold. We are both. It is both and rather than either or. And so, how we begin that process of shifting that perspective is to do it first within ourselves, to realize that as a human being, we have the light and the dark within us. I know we've all experienced that, much as we might want to deny our dark parts. They're there, and we have the potential for that. Everyone does. Mm-hmm. And so to embrace all of what we are, including our darkness, rather than trying to deny our darkness or shove it away or try to make it be something else, to embrace that part of ourselves, bring it in and hold it in our light of love and peace and healing and harmony, is how we begin that inner journey of understanding the both and that exists within us. Does that make sense?
Yes, and Jackie, I'm thinking about what your opinion on this. I'm thinking about this has been an amazing year that so many of us have gone through around the world. It's global, yeah. And I had this insight. I was like, we talk about 2020 eyesight vision, and mm-hmm. When you think about what you're talking about, that there's that we've had the opportunity in quote lockdown situations, etc., where we've had to go inside to develop that 2020 insight within ourselves, yeah. And that's sort of what I'm hearing you talk about.
Right, and I love that you use that word insight, because typically we hear that word and we think it's a flash of understanding. But what I got a flash of when you just said that was that we look within, we look in ourselves for the real sight. And so that's what it is. It's the time of looking in, and this time that we've had with different conditions. I know for me, it has been a time of a lot more quiet time, and the ability, the opportunity to look in, because I'm not racing around all over out there doing stuff. I have time to be. So it's a time of opportunity of being. And the thing is, as humans, our greatest power is our power of choice. And so this opportunity is presented to us, and we have the choice to feel like a victim of it. Oh my gosh, da, 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 da. Or say, oh, wow, look at this. Everything is closed down. I have to shut down. I have time to be and go in and get a better sight for myself.
I love the analogy of 2020 vision, because when we get glasses, what are we doing? We're correcting our vision, right? Yeah, but what you're talking about is correcting the vision inside by the choices that we make and how we want to progress. And like you're saying, this year's given us an outstanding opportunity to do that. And, Jackie, when I looked at the numbers for our next year, which was 2021, when you add those numbers up in numerology, they come up with a 5, which is freedom.
Oh, yes, yes. Wonderful. And by our choices, we choose freedom or suffering. That is everything we do, every thought we have, every action we take is a choice to feed either freedom or suffering. And so it's a matter of becoming aware. And this may sound like a lot of work to some people, but what else do we have to do right now?
Well, I love you talk about wholeness is the process of recognizing the beliefs and habits. That is our choice. You want to say a little bit more about that?
The beliefs and the habits. Okay. when we come into the world as babies, we are in the hugest learning curve of any time in our lives. And where do we get this information from? Well, we get it from our parents, our caregivers, the schools, the churches. And so this is the information that we have telling us who we are, how we need to think about ourselves, what the world looks like. And all of this information is based on what our parents know or what they think to be true. And the same thing with the teachers and the churches. Well, as we grow up, we may feel like these beliefs, maybe that isn't so true for me. Maybe that is too small for me, like a shoe that I grew out of and it's too tight. And so we need to do the process. And this is a lifetime process. It doesn't happen in a weekend or a month, of looking at where our belief systems and our habitual thoughts came from and determining, is that true for me now? Does that serve me? Is that in my highest and best good that I want to take forward? And so it's a deep process of going, because these beliefs function like a tape recorder in our subconscious, in our non-conscious mind. Mm-hmm. Our conscious mind is above that. But 90% of our choices are made by our non-conscious material, the beliefs and habits that are there. So this is the depth work of really going down and in and looking at, with kindness and compassion, what our belief systems are and deciding and choosing what works for us, what we want to keep, what we want to transform. None of it is wrong or right. Our parents did the best they could, and we need to take that forward as an evolving spiritual being.
Yeah, it's all an opportunity. Kimberly, did you have a comment? Because I know you deal with numerology as well. Did you have a comment or question for Jackie? Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to all this, and obviously self-awareness is a very powerful tool, and you've been talking about a lot of the benefits of it. The subconscious. So I deal with astrology and math and numerology and the whole, and that brings a self-awareness to some of my my clients in a deep way, and it did for me. But for our listening audience that might not be so, maybe they're on the fringes of this, the subconscious is very powerful. So what are some practical tools that people could utilize? Sometimes we say meditate. And I know when I first started meditating, I tried to meditate. It was disastrous. And then somebody told me, Kimberly, you're always meditating, just quiet. So maybe we can talk about some real practical ways outside of numerology, astrology. Those are very deep things that work very well.
I like that you use the term self-awareness, and I would like to speak to that a little bit. There is awareness of the self with the small s, that's the ego self, and that's the conscious mind. And then there is awareness of self with capital S, and that is the soul mind. Nice. Now, unless we were brought up in a wisdom tradition to teach us the qualities of our soul and the wisdom tradition, we probably don't know too much about that. But that information is so readily available now. It's in the airport bookstores. It's in the drugstores. And to find a teaching that resonates with you, and over the years, you may move from one to another. You don't have to find one and stay with it forever. But to find a teaching that really spells out for you what's your higher self, what's your soul essence, what's your greater being, what your light body is, and to study that and to keep that information handy and refer to it often, especially when you feel yourself slipping into a wobbly place. or